Hello and welcome to Ferris Sports Update. I'm your host, Brody Kaiser, and thanks so much for being with us this week. On today's show, we'll talk Bulldog men's and women's tennis. We'll catch up with Bulldog football during their spring practice season, and we'll also talk Ferris State men's basketball. But first, joining us on the show is the head coach of the Bulldog tennis squads, Mark Doren. Coach, thanks so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you.
So your teams are both playing some really good tennis right now, coming off that off week, but both squads really seem to have found their groove here in the middle part of your season.
Yeah, we've started off the GLIAC season really strong. The men have been carrying it through most of the season, but the women, are really coming back from a little bit of injuries and really showing that they're a team to be messed with, we came off some really strong weeks, and it was good to have a week off.
On the men's side, some very impressive victories. You're coming off 3 in a row, 7-0 performances. How's that feel?
Yeah, I mean, we played some really good teams too. So if you would have told me beforehand that we were going to win all of them 7-0, I would have been grateful, but I didn't think it was going to happen. But yeah, it was great to get a little avenge a loss a few years ago to Southwest Baptist in the first round of the NCAA tournament. It's the first time we've played them since then. And to kind of take it to them was a lot of fun. But the big match was obviously Grand Valley. I would say that in my 6 years here, this is the best Grand Valley team that they've had. And we just didn't give them any room. We came out and really played really strong. And just all throughout, every court just seemed to have this great energy that I was a little worried about. I wasn't really sure if my underclassmen were ready for the whole Grand Valley rivalry or were all that excited about it, to be honest with you. But on game day, they really stepped up.
I saw that you had challenged some of those young players specifically to match that rivalry.
Yeah.
How did they respond to that? And then obviously, what did it have to take from them to step up to the challenge?
Yeah, I mean, each day in practice, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it to come, and I wasn't quite seeing it, but I didn't want to push too hard because I know they were focused, but I was just looking for that, like talking about beating Grand Valley and getting excited. But on game day, it was impressive. They really showed that they wanted it really bad. Just the energy level. Tennis is a long match. I mean, we're out there for 4 hours, so it's not exactly easy to maintain high energy the whole time. But they did. And so I was impressed with, kind of how they embraced the moment.
The women also coming off of a victory over Grand Valley. That one was a little closer, maybe a little more stressful for you, but obviously a big win for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, we lost to them 7-0 last year. And they started the season ranked in the top 20. They're a really solid team. And, I think that it's just, momentum's a big thing. And when you have momentum and you're feeling good and you're feeling positive, anything can happen in sports. And I think that was a day that just, as the match was going, you could see them start to believe, like, whoa, this is something we can really do. It's not like we didn't think we could beat Grand Valley, but we knew it was going to be a tall task. And as the match went on, the women really showed that they were believing in themselves, that they were positive, and yeah, it was a fun day.
On the women's side, back-to-back weeks where the player of the week was from your squad and 3 different players. How does that feel to know that you have that many different players that can step up on any given week?
Yeah, I think depth is huge in sports, obviously, and for it to be recognized, the depth is important. Often it's in tennis, the player of the weeks are usually the 1 or 2 singles. So for us to have a 4 singles get recognized on her great achievements was pretty impressive. I think that she, we actually had 4 of the last 5. So it's been pretty cool to kind of see, everyone get acknowledged and show that their hard work is paying off.
On the men's side, winners of 7 in a row. How do they continue to build on that win streak as you close down the last couple matches in your regular season?
It's just going to have to be about confidence and really believing in themselves. We're going to probably play outdoors this weekend. It doesn't happen very often in GLIAC play. It just doesn't. I was just telling somebody that my senior men have never played an outdoor match at Ferris. And we're on the road this weekend, but the following weekend we might be outdoors. And, we've got a couple days of practice in, but today it's 25-mile-an-hour winds out there, so it's a little different. But we're going against Wayne State, who's a top 10 team in the country. And we split with them last year. And I think it's just going to be confidence and just kind of knowing that they've put in the work, not to look at it as a too big of a match. Just go out and do the work they've put in and just get after it. I mean, Wayne State, I've talked to their coach. He happens to be a friend, and he tells me that their players just talk all the time about the Ferris match. So that's their big match, and so we've become their rival. And so we got to be ready.
How does that feel for you, and then also maybe for your players to know that Wayne State thinks that about your squad?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time because we're getting more and more national attention. The men's team is just getting, on the national level, a lot of attention from other schools, rankings. Currently Isange and Dube and Ben Lorty. Sungay is ranked number 20 in the country in singles, and Ben number 40 out of over 1,500 Ferris tennis players. So I think that, their names being out there, we try to not get caught up in those numbers, but we know that because of that those teams are coming for us. We know that we've become Wayne's rival because of our success. And so they're really embracing it and excited for the challenge.
On the women's side, winners of 6 of their previous 7, going back to that spring break trip that I know we talked about a couple weeks ago, but how do they continue to also build on that momentum they've recently found?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just focusing on the word team. I think I spoke with you about that last time, is each week I feel like my women's team is embracing the idea of team more often. And when they do that, they understand that 6 singles is worth 1 point, 1 singles is worth 1 point. And not being so worried about the lineup stuff, worrying about who's winning and who's losing. And I'll tell you, during this streak, what I love is the players that are losing after the match aren't sulking and upset. They're excited for their teammates that won. And I think that's why we're winning as a team.
Women's side have 2 matches coming up, one at home, one on the road. Is there any sort of unique challenge that presents, having to split it back-to-back days like that, one at home and one on the road? No,
I actually think that it's made them kind of excited. I think that they're excited to play this home match versus Saginaw Valley because last year they also beat us in a tough match. We lost 7-0 to them last year, so we're looking to avenge that loss too. But I think it gives them this chance to hopefully get a win and then get in the vans and celebrate it on the drive down to Detroit. So I think that the fact that we're traveling right afterwards, going down because we play earlier the next day, gives them that chance to just kind of be with each other, win or loss, to support each other. And so I think that being home and away on a weekend, which is not normal in our GLIAC play, actually gives us a little bit of advantage, I think. Just a couple weeks away from postseason play. Of course, you start with the GLIAC tournament, and you mentioned this a couple of times. Both teams have played some very, very tough teams on their respective schedules. How much does that help you in coming to prepare for the postseason? It still comes back to what I said about confidence. I think the knowing that they've played that level, that they're not going to face that level most likely the rest of the season, and that they competed at that level. So it gives them just this confidence to say, you know what, we have nothing to lose. Let's go into this GLIAC tournament just looking to win every match, not so worried about rankings and stuff like that, just getting after it. And I think that's huge on both sides. The men are pretty close to locking in a 1 or 2 seed in the GLIAC championship and probably locking in a top 4 seed in our regional NCAA tournament. So I think that just finishing business and finishing some goals that we have, and I think that both teams are extremely ready. Coach, as we wrap up here, both teams, you have some veteran leaders on those teams, but also some young players who are doing some really good things. Do you feel like that's a good combination as you head into the postseason? Yeah, it's exactly what every coach hopes for, that the seniors continue to lead and that the underclassmen listen, but then also start to develop their own form of leadership. And I think that, on the men's side, having Sungay at 1 singles, having an underclassman playing at the top of the lineup has actually, I think, brought both together a little bit more because there's representation everywhere. But here is our top player is a sophomore that's succeeding, and it just kind of gets everyone buying in. And then on the women's side, I think that even the ones that aren't in the lineup that are underclassmen are really pushing everybody. So, I think that's what it's supposed to be all about, right? Is even your bench players, if they're bought in and really getting after it, whether it's freshmen or seniors, it makes for a full team concept. Well, Coach, thanks so much for the time, and good luck as you approach postseason play. Yeah, thank you. We'll be back right after this for more Ferris Sports Update.